All right, Andre.
Yeah, I'm Andre Rekuru. I'm based in Western Australia, and I'm currently a commercial diver over here. I've been here for about 6 years now, and I'm not a fan of the culling.
Well, that's not true. Well, they told me all commercial divers are in support of the cull.
Oh no, that's probably just whispers. Like, I've got some mates that I work with that work in the ocean, but they're still scared of sharks, which is weird. But majority of them love surfing and they're all outgoing, and they're not. The majority of them, I haven't met many that are into the cull at all.
So how do you explain the gap between commercial divers that are pro-cull and commercial divers that are anti-cull?
It's pretty easy. They're just uneducated. They don't even. They're just people that have never dealt with sharks, or don't even know anything about them really.
But they are making a living from the ocean, and yet they haven't had to deal with sharks?
Yeah. There's with commercial diving, you're pretty you've got a pretty narrow side of view, so you can have sharks around you don't know. But I've been commercial diving on the West Coast for about 6 years, and the closest like dangerous shark is supposed to be a bull shark that had circled around us at the Montebellos, and that's out of 6 years. I've seen lots of other smaller sharks that never posed threats, but the bull shark is probably the closest circler and still never posed any trouble.
So you say circled you, and a lot of people immediately think, oh, it wants to eat you. Is that the sense that you got?
Nah, it was a slow cruise by circle, slow moving, like gentle body language. It wasn't erratic or, zigzag. It wasn't that interested. It wasn't that close.
And what do you do when the shark is circling you?
I suppose you can just watch its body language, see what it's doing. I've dealt with a lot of sharks, so usually I can pretty much tell when they're not happy. It's just like seeing someone in the street. You see someone abruptly walking around, shoulders hunched up. You can tell they're not happy. You're probably going to move out of the road. Same with shark. You can tell when they're agitated. That's for sure.
You do some spearfishing?
Yeah.
And what's the ratio of, what else do you do? Tell me everything you do in the ocean.
I love surfing, spearfishing, kite surfing, free diving, filming, anything really. I'm pretty addicted to the ocean.
So as far as the times that you have encountered a shark,
yeah,
which of those activities were you doing?
Oh, mainly spearfishing. Depends on the area of the coast, but anywhere from even off the city here. But our main interaction with sharks would be from Geraldton northwards, where there's just always schooling whalers or duskies or black tips or occasional bull shark.
Is it weird that a shark approaches you when you're spearfishing?
Nah, it's common. So common.
Well, why?
Because we're shooting fish, and we've got those the fish fighting, sending out those pulses that shark love.
Yeah, but it's your fish.
Yeah, it's still fair game. Like, if we get it to ourselves, like if we get it to us and submit it within time for the sharks, well, the sharks seem to leave us alone once you've got it in your hands. But
so there's a window between when you shoot it and actually get it into your bag?
Yeah, you can work together as a team. When it's real sharky, you can work with a mate. So one dives, takes a shot, fights the fish, and the other diver dives down and just sort of, only have to sit next to the fish and the sharks keep at bay. Most of the time. It's the same even when you're just swimming along. Like, if you're spearing by yourself in a sharky area, the sharks are heaps more cocky. But if you've got someone with you, they keep at bay. I've had a time with a bull shark where I speared a Spanish mackerel. I had it in my hands, and the bull shark was following me around my tail as I was swimming back to the boat. And my mate just went back to the boat and was coming back to me, but he was still a good 100 metres away. And as I was swimming, I looked that way and he'd swim over there, and I looked that way and he was just playing zigzag behind me. And I was like, all right, I'm probably gonna have to throw the fish soon, because he started getting closer to my fins. And then I was watching from my mate, and just as my mate got to me, I looked back and it just veered off, because there was two of us together. Like,
it just wasn't worth it. The risk to him outweighed the food benefit.
Yeah, they're still timid, eh? Like Johnny, that I'm partners in the boat here with, we've done a heap of shark filming and stuff up in Karratha, and there's one area there where we get a lot of bull sharks, and we had the boat set up with some burley with a bait that we wanted to feed them, and we had to hang it off a float with about 8 meters of rope off the back of the boat, and we were in the water around the motor, so ready to film, and the sharks still wouldn't come in, so we had to put the float further from the boat, and they still wouldn't come in, and we had to hide up around the anchor until the sharks started feeding, then we could go in and film.
How's it possible that this day and age, I mean, it's not like Australians and the ocean are new to each other. How is it that lack of education, me?
Oi!
How is it possible in Australia in this day and age that ocean users are still that uneducated?
I don't think the majority of people don't have much connection or interaction with sharks. There's still only a real handful that actually run into them, like it's mainly spear fishermen. The surfer might see the occasional fin, but majority of that's going to be a dolphin where everyone's like, oh, shark, and then the word spreads and everyone's like, oh, it's 3 meter shark, next day it's 5, 6, 7, and there's probably a dolphin in the first place. So
right.
People just haven't, so many people haven't had any interaction with sharks at all. Otherwise, if they did, it wouldn't really be this problem, I don't think.
Can you describe the first time that you encountered a shark while you were diving compared to now?
Oh yeah, like it was on the east coast where I grew up in Foster, and a mate and I were swimming around this rock, and we just seen these big sharks and on the bottom, and we were like, what? We were panicked, and we were like bailed up onto this rock, and we were like, what were they like? What type were they? Because I've never dealt with sharks. And then we slowly crept back in the water, and we just like slowly got closer, and we realised they were grey nose sharks, and they were pretty cruisy, and they didn't move from when we seen them previously, so they weren't a threat. Just that initial like, whoa, that's a shark, like that, they're meant to be dangerous. And then after that,
so if anything, the more you've been around sharks, the less afraid you are?
Oh yeah, easy. If not, I'm getting a bit too complacent, if anything. So I always got to remind myself, be careful. Like,
you got to be careful in any situation though, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, for us to imply that it's wrong to have to be cautious when you're around sharks.
Oh no, always be cautious.
Are you cautious around dogs?
No, not really.
How about around people?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the more interaction, the more you learn to read, and yeah, but they can get super complacent. I'm sure there's guys out there that are so complacent with great whites, like they just dealt with them,
What bothers you the most about this cull?
Oh, the biggest thing is even the sharks that are causing problems that everyone's worried about, like the great whites. They're not even really targeting them specifically. Like they're a pretty timid shark from knowledge and word on the street. Like they're pretty hard to catch, and even from what I've been told by word of mouth, that you pretty much have to line fish them by hand with fresh live baits. Like anyone knows, the majority of people are fishermen and that know you're going to just catch tiger sharks the way they're fishing, and then they're killing them. Like when was the last time tiger sharks caused troubles over here? It's just sort of sad,
I'm gonna give a list of water activities.
Yeah.
You tell me which one a person is probably at the least risk of attack. Spearfishing, surfing, kayaking, scuba diving. Which one does someone have the least risk?
I don't know. I think definitely the least would be the ones underwater with a visual on the shark, because then you can intimidate sharks. If you see one and you abruptly move at it, majority of the time they hate it. They get scared.
But what about these? I gotta wait for them.
Yeah.
What about these dive shops that say that their scuba diving enrollment has dropped off dramatically because of the sharks?
Oh yeah, it's just people still not educated and scared of the unknown. Like if they've been scuba diving for years, I bet all the people that scuba dive now are really got a lot of experience and dealt with sharks, and they're not worried. And they all said people who are committed, who love the ocean that much, that then if they get taken, they get taken. That's a sacrifice.
You volunteered your boat down south to document what was happening in the Graceland area.
Yeah, yeah.
What was the worst thing you saw?
Oh, definitely the first day, just watching the tigers getting caught and shot, and just seeing them helplessly on the line, like even if they're too small, and it's just sort of frustrating. Like I've been trying to swim and film tiger sharks on the west coast a lot, and they're so timid. I've had so much trouble filming them, and then they're just hanging there on the line dying, like sort of, and then they just shoot them and throw them away. Like it's just ridiculous. It's sad. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to do my typical marathon interview, so yeah. I'll let you finish up with a statement that you really feel like expressing.
Oh yeah. Well, look, I'm pretty dedicated to the ocean. A mate and I are doing a stack of filming now on the west coast, and the west coast, from what I've seen around the world, is some of the most amazing waters that I've come across, with the amount of fish and fish life and marine life and sharks and whatnot. So we've actually just doing up a boat now that we've purchased, a 40-foot cabin cruiser, and we've got a little company together called Terra Australis, and we're going to travel the west coast filming as much amazing marine life and ocean stuff that we can possibly get and share with the world, just to show again like how lucky we are, and we really need to look after it, you know.
Could killing sharks destroy that industry?
Oh, it will take away a massive beauty of it. And I've travelled around the world a lot, spearfishing and diving and filming all through Fiji and New Caledonia, Vanuatu, over through Indonesia, Mexico and Central America, and still, like, there's so many places. The majority of them places hardly see any sharks, and it's just, I seem to notice that there's no sharks, there's not that many fish either. Like the west coast, heaps of sharks, heaps of fish, heaps of life. It's, yeah.
And if you're going to go diving to see the ocean, that's what you want. You don't want a graveyard.
No, not at all.
Is there hope for shark ecotourism on this coast? Could that ever be done?
As in, come here to swim with sharks and watch sharks?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of areas there that they've got a lot of abundance of sharks. If you want to come and swim with them, you can swim with them. I don't think they should start burling up and getting them in cages and all that sort of stuff.
No.
But the majority of the sharks on the west coast are fine, you know. Like, yeah. It's just, I suppose, that occasional great white that's confused, and I don't know what's going on, but. Yeah.
Would you be excited to see a great white?
Oh, I'd love to, man. I'd love to see one, but
when you're spearfishing?
I don't know. I don't think so. No, more in a safer conditions. I don't know anything about them. I've never swum with them, and they are in a bit of a league of their own. Yeah. I feel. So, yeah.
All right. Thanks, Andre.
No worries, man.
Appreciate it.
Sweet as.